How can you treat an organ without ever looking at the organ itself? And this is what psychiatry has been allowed to do. They treat the brain without ever looking or testing at it at all. They're not trained to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how serotonin is made, dopamine is made, oxytocin. They don't know any of that. They don't care. They don't test for it. They don't look at your brain. They don't look to see is there something wrong with it? Has there been a trauma to it? Are the networks working? Which parts are active? Which parts are inactive? What's the blood flow? Nothing. They look at nothing. They don't run blood tests. They don't run genetic tests. They don't do anything. And then they go like this. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Just take this. Just take that. Yeah. Took me 7 or 10 to 10 minutes to figure out. Now, here's your kid. Take the thing. Take this psychiatric drug. A psychotropic brain mind-altering medication, most of which are highly addictive, where you're going to attenuate and withdraw from. So you need increasing doses, and you will go through withdrawal. They all know this forever. So let's talk about ADHD, brain performance. Sorry, she's not here and you're not hearing that, but this is something that I specialize in and I want to talk about anyway. And obviously when I talk about any brain disorder, and ADHD is a brain disorder. It is not a behavioral disorder. It's not from bad parenting, okay? Now, bad parenting can make it worse, and there are things you're doing that could be causing these imbalances in function. However, it's not, you ain't gonna beat this out of your child. It's not a bad kid, all right? But anything I say pretty much can be extrapolated to adults, right? So a 25, 35, 55-year-old diagnosed with ADHD. And why I say that term, it's an umbrella term. ADD doesn't technically exist anywhere. I can't check off on any diagnostic manual anywhere. I cannot diagnose you. No one can with ADD. It doesn't exist anymore. So it's been erased in the DSM-4. That's why we say ADHD. You're going to be hyperactive or not, doesn't matter. So just terms and words kind of matter as to why we say them. So this time of year, we're in November. Most likely there were parent-teacher conferences in October. And about October, November, in other years in the past, in these bizarro world pandemic situations, that's when pediatricians and maybe psychiatrists and school counselors are flooded with children that teachers now say should be medicated. Happens in October, November. This is when the big flood is happening. We're worried about little, I don't know, nobody's Timmy or Billy anymore. Their names like Peyton and Arrow and Juniper. I don't know, all kinds of weird ass names. Crystal Fire, Mystic Blue. That's how we name our kids now. I want to bring back Mary and Sam and Billy. Matt. Those are the kids I went to school with. Matt, Billy, Brian, Michael, Amy, Mary, a lot of Josephs. It's a Catholic school. Lots of Marys and Josephs, little Joeys. Anyway, so this is the time that you need to be aware of this. Now, this is you're going to see more and more of this, more and more happening now after these last couple of years. Faux show. And there's going to be a number of reasons why. Kids were kept home. Kids were, that whole situation has brought problems in unto itself. The collective anxiety, the collective stress has changed the way that their brains have formed over the last couple of years. Sitting in front of a screen has changed the way their brains have formed. There's a number of reasons why you're going to see more and more children struggling and being diagnosed with this. Now, in some of my other videos, I've told you, you really need to know, is it ADHD or not? Because a lot of other things look like it. And so here's where I'm at. This is what I'm going to say again and again. How can you treat an organ without ever looking at the organ itself? And this is what psychiatry has been allowed to do. They treat the brain without ever looking or testing at it at all. They're not trained to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how serotonin is made, dopamine is made, oxytocin. They don't know any of that. They don't care. They don't test for it. They don't look at your brain. They don't look to see, is there something wrong with it? Has there been a trauma to it? Are the networks working? Which parts are active? Which parts are inactive? What's the blood flow? Nothing. They look at nothing. They don't run blood tests. They don't run genetic tests. They don't do anything. And then they go like this. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Just take this. Just take that. Yeah. Took me 7 or 10 to 10 minutes to figure out. Now, here's your kid. Take the thing. Take this psychiatric drug, a psychotropic mind-altering medication, most of which are highly addictive, where you're going to attenuate and withdraw from. So you need increasing doses, and you will go through withdrawal. They all know this. Forever. And I didn't even look to see if you needed it, if it, they have no justification. I cannot pre and post test you, nothing. That's psychiatry. It's a very unique field that is allowed to guess completely and then write prescriptions after testing and looking at nothing. Genius. So please go back and look at some of my ADHD stuff if you're going to know, like, how do they know it's that? Versus anxiety, versus auditory processing, versus dyslexia, versus sleep deprivation. They don't. They know nothing. So let's talk about some basic things, though, you can do. So let's say, one, I want you to differentiate cognitive issues, the 100 other ones that are not ADHD, to know, is it really that or not, okay? It really makes a big difference to know what we're dealing with. But let's assume we've got ADHD. Okay, and you can extrapolate some of this stuff to anxiety, autism. Some of these things are all very similar, right? These brain issues. But first, the thing you need to look at with dealing with this, parents, you have to address basic brain support first. Stop trying to go up here. You know what? Getting a prescription for a drug that helps every brain increase focus and attention. Just so you know, if I took methamphetamine, me, 49-year-old, very smart, I don't have attention concentration problems. However, if I take methamphetamine, Ritalin, I will increase my focus and attention. It will do that to me. So does cocaine, so does caffeine, so does a whole bunch of other things, other drugs that improves everybody's focus, everybody's concentration. It just does that in everybody. Now, so parents say, oh, but it works. Well, it works on everybody. I can give it to my cat and they'll have better focus. You understand? Okay? That doesn't mean you need it. Again, I could lose weight, get more work done, and be really productive on cocaine. I could. This is the fact. This is fact. However, there are some downsides to the cocaine that I am not willing to risk. So I'm not going to do it. Okay. Basic brain support. 1, your brain is 70% cholesterol saturated fat. Then babies need to be eating a lot of cholesterol saturated fat. The diet needs to be animal-based, full of cholesterol, full of fats. Where is that found? In animal proteins. Meat, eggs, fish, okay? You need high quantities of omega-3 oils, known as DHA and EPA. They are essential fatty acids that we can't make. Essential means you must eat them. The highest concentration is in fish. Your children should be eating fish. So 1, I see so many parents that bring their kids to me, diagnosed with ADHD, and they're having trouble and blah, 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 and they want to know what to do. They eat 0 seafood. Parents are not giving them seafood. I'm going to tell you, here we go with this. I don't care if the kids like it. I didn't like everything my mother cooked for me. I grew up eating liver, cow tongue, all kinds of fish, all kinds of weird things, octopus, caviar, whatever. I didn't have a choice. Here's dinner, eat it, or be hungry. Guess what? We always ate it. My mother lined us up for that nasty cod liver oil every morning. And I'm going to tell you right now, you should be doing the same thing. Kids need to be eating seafood, lots of it, because where the DHA and EPA is, the brain is so dependent on that DHA. Part of why you're seeing so many kids struggle, we've stolen DHA from their diet. Salmon has 53 times more DHA than grass-finished beef, which is very high in DHA. And I was preaching you could be able to get enough. I was wrong. You've got to be getting seafood. If they won't eat it, while you're transitioning, while you're learning to cook again, hashtag make America cook again. Fermented cod liver oil is my top choice for a supplement. Top food is salmon roe, which is, again, fish eggs. Parents, believe it or not, if you start giving them this stuff when they're babies, they don't fight you. Give them food, not cookies, candies, and cake. Stop ruining your children when they come out of the womb. All right? Okay. Top fish, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. Smash. Lowest in toxins. This should all be wild. It should not be any farmed fish. I'm highly opposed to that. And most of those, especially like anchovies and sardines and salmon roe, are pretty affordable and they're super potent. These are basics, basic brain support. Don't come to me looking for some special fancy brain therapy if your child is starving for the basic nutrients. I'm not going to do neurofeedback on them because they're starving. Step one is feed them the right stuff. All right? Also, I'm going to go with avoiding seed oils, things like soybean, canola, cotton, peanuts, safflower, rapeseed. Get rid of them. And I am not a fan of olive oil and avocado oils. I think those are in the gray area, but they are not superior in any way, shape, or form for the brain compared to butter or tallow. They are far superior to what the brain needs to perform well. Those seed oils embed themselves in the matrix of all the membranes, and they short circuit the electrical information. So it's kind of like, imagine you have a bunch of wires. I have wires throughout my whole house, right? In your walls of your home, there's wires. If a mouse got in there, and what the wires are insulated with are cholesterol and saturated fat from butter, from steak fat, from hamburger fat, from tallow, duck fat, beef tallow, bacon grease even, okay? Remember that can your mama used to keep on the stove with a bacon grease and she'd recook with it? Start doing it again. Make America cook again. Okay? Yeah. That'll solve a lot of problems. So those wires are covered with that. Now, eating seed oils, cotton flour, safflower, I'm putting olive oil and avocado here. I'm not a huge fan. It's a lot of hype on that stuff, and science is not good, and they're lying about it. They're manipulating it to sell their product. It's akin to me putting a mouse in my walls, and it's chewing up on the insulation around the wires, and then you get glitches, and my lights are like, what's going on? What's going on? It still works, but it sometimes does it, sometimes blinks, sometimes whatever, and I'm like, is there a short? What's happening? Okay. That's what happens when you eat these seed oils. And mind you, every time you get carry out, Uber Eats, fast food, I don't care if it's McDonald's or the Ritz-Carlton, okay? The Ritz dining room. You are eating seed oils because that's what they're cooking with. Vegetable oil is soybean oil and canola oil. If you can find a place there are places you can ask that are using beef tallow, duck fat sometimes. Like hands down, duck fat fries, not the same as soybean fries. Very, very different. I'm like, ooh, if I see duck fat fries on the menu, I'm like, oh, okay, let's order some duck fat fries. Like have a chance to enjoy that pleasure, right? That treat. So they're embedding themselves. By every time you feed those to your children, you're causing their brain to short circuit. You're causing the electrical circuitry to be damaged. It will lead to long-term issues such as Parkinson's, dementia, MS, and Alzheimer's. But in the short term, it looks like ADHD, autism, things like that, okay? Even anxiety. Basic brain support. This is all still basic. Minerals. Minerals, 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 minerals. Again, stop looking to go to the third-story bathroom and pick out the mirror of the third story bathroom while you have a jacked up foundation and the whole house is on level. If your kids are not eating these basic things that is basic brain support, their brain can't work. Stop thinking you're going to sprinkle on an addictive stimulant to compensate for the lack of foundational nutrition. So minerals, 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 big ones for the brain: zinc, copper, magnesium, sodium, potassium, and lithium. A lot of you don't know about that, but it's important. So critical, critical, critical for brain function. I cannot underscore enough how many children I've had diagnosed. We're looking at this, and once I simply level out their minerals, often especially zinc copper ratios, fully feed them with these minerals, get these levels back to where they're supposed to be, and I do end up having to do that with supplementation. I have an outstanding supplement for children that you can reach out to me and I'll tell you about: minerals, 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 minerals. Children are one of the class that I do go with a multi because parents are overwhelmed. So a good multivitamin, multi-mineral, detox, gut healer, and brain nootropic blend, along with fermented cod liver oil, typically an omega-3 supplement, is usually I can get most of it done with them, okay? As I'm helping you learn to cook again, all right? But I've seen it many, many times that all symptoms will completely disappear. It's not ADHD, it's lack of nutrition. It's lack of foundational mineral support. And once we put that in, oh, gee, lo and behold, everything goes away. Another basic brain support, I'm going to put this in a separate category, is sleep. You might not be thinking of it like a supplement, but I think you should. If people started thinking of sleep as a supplement, they would start prescribing it and demanding it for their children in a different way. I cannot tell you how much this should be prioritized for children and how the lack of prioritizing it is destroying them. This is why they're struggling. If you don't go into Delta sleep, you cannot consolidate memory. They aren't able to store into long-term memory what they learned that day for a number of reasons. One is lack of sleep, lack of good sleep, and not going through the proper sleep cycles all night. There's several root causes for this. One is too much stupid damn homework. No child should be sitting there for 3, 4, 5 hours a night. I've had 9, 10-year-olds come in. Their parents are telling me they're going to bed at midnight because of how much homework they have. It's insane. And these are not public schools. These are the 30,000 plus private elite schools here in Atlanta. I look at these parents and say, excuse me? So now they're saying the kid has ADHD because she's just tired. She's exhausted, right? She has sleep deprivation syndrome at this point. So that's a major, 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 major problem. There's lots to be said for sleep hygiene. I go over this with my patients. I have a sleep course. It's very, very cheap. You guys can get that to kind of learn some of these things. Basics about sunlight and blue light, and supplementation that can help the systems. How to prepare the bedroom for them. A lot of parents are doing a lot of things that are ruining their children's sleep. That night light you're leaving on all the time, you're radically destroying their sleep. You're radically destroying what their brain is capable of doing, because melatonin is only triggered by darkness. So by keeping that night light on, you are lowering their melatonin, which is a massive antioxidant, massive healer of the brain, and helps the brain go into the stages that it needs to actually learn things. Okay, there's that. Now, there's let me say this too. Another thing that's a primary thing that's destroying. So lights in the room, what goes beyond that? TVs, laptops, iPhones, iPads, blah, blah, blah. Kindles. None of that should be in your children's bedrooms. If you have any of those devices mounted, plugged in anywhere in their bedrooms, my number one piece of advice, my number one action step for you is to take it out immediately. There are a number of reasons why none of those things should be secured in a child's bedroom alone that are too big and too deep to go into in this situation. But from a strictly neurological standpoint, you are damaging their brains and driving them. That medium alone causes an ADHD brain. That medium alone causes an anxious brain. That medium alone causes sleep disorders. There's just that, right? I'm not even talking about the content of what they're watching. It doesn't matter what they're watching. It can be a nature video. It can be ocean waves going through with, sound frequency healing that you think is doing a good thing. You're bombarding and radiating them with cations, which are oxidizing them. You're bombarding them with EMF, and you're bombarding their eyes and their brains with a fast flicker that is causing rapid changes in their brain and causing it to no longer be able to focus and attend to something in a long, protracted way to make dopamine so it can learn. It's the medium itself. Don't even get me started on what they're actually watching. And if it's in their bedroom, you don't know what they're watching, mama. Hate to tell you. You are not in control of what they're going through. And it ain't good. The average age of a child being exposed to porn, video porn, is 8 years old. I can't handle video porn. I can't imagine the trauma I would have been through seeing that shit at 8. All right? Now, when it comes to extras on how to treat ADHD, what to do about it, this list is long and extensive. We do have incredible therapeutics. We do have incredible technologies. But there is no point going to here and me saying, okay, I got a 3-month program, and it's going to take 40 neurofeedback sessions, and we're going to do transcranial stim, and we're going to use light therapy, audiovisual entrainment, photobiomodulation, and blah, 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 to a brain that is sleep deprivation, that is lacking in basic minerals, lacking in basic nutrients, and starving, right? It's in a fight or flight state. It can't do this. That is akin to me taking somebody in an active anorexic state who is extremely malnourished and then making them train and run a marathon. That's malpractice. I could murder them. Okay? So why would I put your child's brain through basically CrossFit of rewiring, restructuring the function and structure of it when it's starving? They're not ready. They can't do it. And this is, you're basically, so going into the classroom is like this compared to what I'm going to do. They're still not ready. You're setting them up to fail. Okay? So, extra categories, again, simple and complicated solutions. And this is what I go over in customized patient care. Your child is unique. You are unique. You need this. Make an appointment. We will go over things. Yes, I do run labs. I'm going to have to look at things. I want a brain image. I want to look at all of them. I can see you remotely. I can outsource this to outside clinicians. You go on 1 or 2 appointments. You bring it to me. Everything is typically non-invasive. And when it comes to children, I go super far out of my way to use labs that are basically urine, saliva, and hair. I avoid the pinprick at all costs. The only time I'm going to do that is when I really need it. When I really have no other choice. But because so much of my practice are children with autism and sensory integration disorders and highly reactive to pain and highly, that they would need benzodiazepines and tranquilizers to get this done, I really have worked hard to avoid them. So I'm going to do things that don't require pain, all right? For the most part. So just so you know that is going to happen, okay? Because we need to know what's going on to actually support it properly. So we're not just throwing, arrows just at nothing. Let's just throw a bunch of shit at it and see what sticks. That's psychiatry. No, thank you. No, that's not what I'm up for. Now, I'm going to tell you about one thing that you've probably never heard of. And again, I get nervous about teaching you about some of these nootropics because then you'll just think to do this thing and not actually get to the root cause. As I address the root cause and I say I'm doing neurofeedback or some other brain modulation, changing the brain, I'm changing its electromagnetic function at a quantum level permanently. And then this issue is gone for the rest of their lives. Very different than just nonsense. Here's the thing you just do forever. We just remove, why don't we just get rid of the diagnosis? You don't have a thing. Your brain got, it's doing the right thing from the way you're living. Let's feed it, get the damn TV out of the bedroom, have you go to bed on time, listen to your mom and daddy because there's going to be rules and boundaries for a change. And then everything works. Okay? We don't have to do this again. And they'll have their probably own little nutrient things. Now, So I say all that to say, I hate telling you stuff. I hate telling you this because then you think it's a magic bullet. You just take this thing and you don't have to do any work. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't want you using an herb like a drug. That's why I'm like, God. But I'm going to tell you about this one because it's really cool. So what's a nootropic? So I talk about nootropics a lot. A nootropic is any compound, chemical, that enhances cognitive performance. Because I specialize in mental health and brain performance, I use a ton of nootropics. A nootropic is caffeine. Very, very common. It is a nootropic. Now, a nootropic stack, the most common nootropic stack, combining things together, is caffeine and L-theanine. That is naturally found in green tea. Some of us hate green tea. I don't want to drink it. I think it tastes disgusting. It's also full of a lot of radiation poisoning, depending on where you get it. There's a lot of issues with green tea being contaminated. There's lots of arsenic, because the stuff's coming from China, the majority of the green tea, and it's been contaminated. I don't want that shit. Then the stuff from Japan now, the Fukushima situation has radiated and ruined it, as well as the matcha. Be real careful at where these plants are, where you're getting them, because they're absorbing the major poisons and toxins of the earth. Yeah. So I hate green tea. But I take it in supplemental form in powders at times and in certain things. So it's a big thing. It naturally has caffeine and L-theanine, but many people just drink coffee and take L-theanine. It's the most popular and well-used nootropic. It brings a calm, steady, hyper focus, and this is well researched and well known. So we're all using that, just so you know, every morning. Okay, if you're not, like, that's a stack. Like, for these kids who parents are letting them drink coffee, I don't agree with that. But if you do, the first thing I do is add L-theanine, because all these kids, by the way, all have anxiety. Caffeine makes anxiety worse. Caffeine does make ADHD better. But how do you know if it's ADHD or anxiety? And many people have ADHD and anxiety at the same time, by the way. Okay, so that's what a nootropic is. One you may have never heard about is called Bacopa monnieri, or monnieri. I don't really know how to say it. I mean, that's where I'm at. It's a fat-soluble herb. Okay, so it's an herb. Fat soluble, which is unusual, and it's been traditionally used in Ayurvedic medicine. I'm not a traditional Ayurvedic clinician. I just know lots of things about it, and I just resonate real strong with it because of my Indian heritage, I think. It's the Indian form of kind of the ancient medicine, the way Chinese medicine has their ancient form, and every culture kind of has their own writings and things, right? 5,000 years old minimum. So Bacopa is an Ayurvedic herb, and it's been. So what does it do? The gist, so you guys know, it helps ADHD, gives anxiety relief. See, I tell you how do you know the difference? They look very, very similar, and they're often there together. This helps both. Stress resilience. It's an adaptogen. So lots of you know about ashwagandha. Same kind of thing. There are certain things. Holy basil is a tea, as a herb, it's a plant. It helps your body adapt to stress. It makes you more resilient. Ashwagandha makes you more resilient. Bacopa makes you more resilient. Ashwagandha doesn't help you focus, though. This does. Okay, so different things do different things. Cold therapy makes you more resilient, makes you handle stress more. Okay, this is why we do exercise, makes you handle stress better. That's resilience. Bacopa also increases cognition. It just straight up makes you think better, make better decisions. It makes you perform smarter. Mm-hmm. And anybody. Huge thing, it improves memory. And memory consolidation is a major problem of ADHD. Often some of these things they're doing is like why their performance is down is the sleep is poor, they're not getting in the delta, they're not consolidating memory. And what's the point? And then the next day, it's like you were in school and nothing happened. It's like you got to keep starting over every day. Imagine if you keep waking up, you just can't really remember what you learned before. So eventually, that really wear down a child, and it makes you want to give up because then they feel stupid, and they're not stupid. They just couldn't consolidate it. This helps that happen, right? It does it in adults as well, you guys. So helps improve working memory tremendously. That ability to hold on to those 10-digit phone numbers, to look at something and look away and being able to retain it. Okay, so how does it do it? I'm going to tell you, it does some really interesting ways. It offers antioxidant neuroprotection. So it protects the brain like an antioxidant, just like melatonin, glutathione, other things like that you're familiar with. Beta amyloid reduction. Remember that word, beta amyloid? Yes, those are the plaques in Alzheimer's disease. It breaks them up and makes them go away. Say what? Now, I didn't say it's a treatment for Alzheimer's. I'm just telling you one of the ways you can help break up the beta amyloid plaques that you already have going in your brain. By the way, we have actually investigated the brains of many, 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 many young people, and we're finding these plaques in the 25-year-olds now. Yeah. So I wouldn't wait until I get a diagnosis to start cleaning up my brain. And this is one of the ways you can do it. I do take Bacopa every single morning. Okay. It increases cerebral blood flow. So I talked about that. So increasing blood flow to the brain, more blood, better thinking, better function, better detox, better everything. You need blood flow going there to bring the nutrients and take away the garbage. Bring the food, take away the shit. Bring the food, take away the shit. Many of you don't got food coming and you don't got shit leaving. Hence the beta amyloid plaques. Okay, and the neural entanglements, they're literally is called these entanglement. Helps with neurotransmitter modulation, helps your brain know what to do of making more of something and releasing and modulating itself, helps it self-regulate better. Doesn't push something up arbitrarily or push something down arbitrarily, overriding your signals. It works with you to help you do it the way you're supposed to do it. And neurogenesis. What does that word mean? Yeah, it helps you make new nerve cells. Because a lot of nerve cells die every day. And a lot of what you do kills the nerve cells real bad. This helps make new ones. You want that. Exercise does that too. Sleeping does that. Lots of growth hormone does. Lots of things help you do that. And a lot of things you're doing help kill them on the daily. And just aging kills them. So that's a lot of stuff that it does. I have been using this in practice. I don't talk about it on social media. It's the very first time I'm talking about Bacopa on here because, again, I don't want people just trying an herb and never making all these other changes I've talked about. And you really have to make the other changes to stop driving a child's brain into the ground, to keep doing the behaviors that are, this is what you need to remember. What you practice grows. Two phrases. What you practice grows, and neurons that fire together, wire together. They mean the same thing. It means whatever you do over and over and over again is how you will become. What you practice grows. You practice long sustained attention. You practice being calm. You practice waiting for a reward. That part of your brain, that part of your body grows. You get better at it. You practice not sleeping. You practice doing things with a very short-term reward. You practice the eyes changing attention every 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. That's what your brain will know how to do. It doesn't know how to do the other thing anymore. What you practice grows. So I need the behaviors to change to really make this last. But first and foremost, we've got to, we got to start with the whole comprehensive thing. I got to feed those brain with those basic things, which include protein, fats, cholesterol, lots of minerals, vitamins, certain B vitamins, other things super important, okay? So I kind of got to get it all in there, and then I use different herbs that work as nootropics to help the brain and the nervous system stay calm, be able to focus, grow new brain cells, detoxify itself of plaques, okay, become more resilient, improve the ability to think, improve the memory. Okay, see, these are like layers, right? It's how we have to do all this. So, and also when I give a product, when I give a thing like a Bacopa, there's a lot of crappy fake products on the market, period. Just total counterfeit or contaminated, right? You think, oh, it's cheap. I'm like, do you know what's in that tea? Do you know what's in that water? It's contaminated. So I don't care. You can have the highest quality grass-finished filet mignon in front of me. If you come along and you sprinkle mercury on top of it, it's no longer good for me. I will not eat it. I'm like, well, now you just turned it into a thing that can kill me. So I'm going to have to tap out on that steak, right? That's what you're doing with a lot of the supplements you're taking. When you buy something from GNC, from Kroger, from CVS, from Costco, you're taking a very big gamble into your hands because the counterfeit industry is a multi-million, it might be a multi-billion-dollar industry. So I don't know if it's in the billions and the millions. So I don't want to misspeak on that. A year. And these containers come over from China and they're just full of fake. And it's not like Costco knows, okay? I don't think they know everything that they're putting in there is not real. But there's been massive lawsuits and things have been discovered about what's in some of these things, most particularly in the herb industry. It is the most unregulated and easiest thing. So, for example, there's been found, this was a New York State lawsuit, like what they thought was echinacea. Turns out what was actually in that bottle was cat and dog fur and ground up houseplants. Mm-hmm. So not only were you not getting the thing you thought was helping your immune system when you were sick, you might have been ingesting something you're allergic to. That could actually make you worse or kill you. Welcome to the herb industry. So, but I actually use a bacoba. That's actually very different, very unique. It's a very specific form. This form has 16 human clinical trials. Human clinical trials. That's very unusual for anything to have human clinical trials anyway. Most of the stuff you see are petri dishes, or if you're lucky, rats. Okay? And we use most stuff is coming from rats, just so you guys know that, right? Most of these things you hear are not human trials. But this has 16 human trials, and it's processed to 55% bacosides or bacosides. So it's bacoba moneri, and the active thing is bacosides that helps do this in the brain. Typically, most of the products, bacobas on the market, are roughly 10% bacosides. This is 55%. Like I said, you never know what you're getting. You got to really be careful. This multivitamin, multi-mineral blend that I use is also put in shilajit. So it's a shilajit. But if you don't know it all, it's like a lot of this stuff sometimes it's too much for people to understand what this is. So it's a shilajit fulvic and humic acid blend that has all the vitamins, all the minerals, many other nootropics. This is it, but it has the bacoba. So bacoba by itself doesn't necessarily do the same thing as when you have all the vitamins and minerals that the whole brain is going to use. Then it can actually do its function. So, the only thing missing when I give this are really the omega-3s, the DHA, EPA, the fish. So if I've got a kid that eats a lot of fish, and high quality, the cold water fatty stuff, I can get this kid like sardines, and I can get them to start eating roe, and they don't need cod liver oil, but I'll still probably do fermented cod liver here and there, especially in the winter because it's got vitamin D in it. And I'll start them on some good minerals, a good either one, depending on what I'm doing, what I can find, and I'll drop in 1 or 2 nootropics. And often we don't even need brain therapies, right? And by brain therapies, I'm talking about all these neuromodulation, these amazing technologies. But these technologies are going to range with me somewhere, 2 to 3,000 to 7 to 10,000 dollars to complete, right? This is why so many people just do the quick and easy, get the prescription, insurance is going to pay, they've got a $10 copay on their monthly Adderall, and done, because they're like, how am I don't have the money to come up with this other stuff, right? They didn't even know it existed anyway, right? So we can start to, do this, and here's the reality with this. You can start benefiting from bacoba and a good mix of something. You don't need a diagnosis, right? You can everybody's been under too much stress. And I think bacoba is one of those really, really great supplements that everybody can benefit from. This is the exact product I take daily. I give it to my teenage son. I give it to my 76-year-old mother. Why? Again, I want better cognition in both of them. I want better working memory in both of them. I want beta amyloid plaques to reduce risk of Alzheimer's gone away. I want stress resilience increased, right? I want more blood flow. I want all of those benefits in a high potent, thing. So bacoba is one of those things that, I'm not sure why pediatricians never tell anybody about. Why psychiatrists never tell anybody about. I don't know why they don't tell you about caffeine and L-theanine, to be honest, right? Many of you just adding L-theanine to your coffee in the morning gets me incredible results, and takes the edge off all your morning anxiety that you're having, right? So yeah, I want to change lifestyle. Yeah, I want to teach you to meditate. Yeah, I want to go through all these things. But I will use supplements and things like that to help give you some instant relief, some instant results as we're slowly making the changes, right? That's the way it is. No different than if I have to leverage melatonin for jet lag or severe, for night shift workers or for severe sleep deprivation. Do I have to have people on it, I want them on it forever, every day? No. But will I leverage it in an emergency situation? Like, we're in a triage crisis, right? We triage what needs to be done. And some of you with your kids and yourself with ADHD and anxiety and or right now are in a crisis state. And I would rather triage you with a good shilajit, fulvic, humic acid, multi-mineral vitamin, bacopa, nootropic supplement than a addictive prescription stimulant. Okay? So if you're interested in that, I go over all this kind of stuff in my newsletter. I go over stuff like this as a patient. I mean, this is just a small inkling. And by the way, with children especially, the nootropics and multis and things that I use always have 0 caffeine, 0 synthetics, 0 preservatives. Highly unusual, because a lot of people, I mean, they're just loading their, I see some of the, don't get me started. Okay, I'm not going to digress on that. So if that was helpful and you're interested in bacopa, send me a message. I'll tell you exactly what I use. The one downside to the one, because it's 0 synthetics and 0 preservatives. Highly unusual. It's cold pressed. It needs to go in your refrigerator after you open it. So it's not easy to travel with, but the majority of the time you're not. When you travel, I come up with different options. We do different things. And typically when people are traveling, they're on vacation, their kids don't really need a brain nootropic anyway, right? We can do something else. So I hope that was helpful. One, basic brain support. We need to know, is it ADHD or something else that comes from brain imaging and testing? I'm available for that. So a lot of other clinicians, I can help you find a clinician near you and things like that, and I can work with them remotely. And then you need to, because I really want you to understand there's a hierarchy to how you should approach this. Stop going up here to solve this problem when the problem is really starting here. Okay? And you can't address this until we address this. Everybody wants to go here. Just give me a pill. It doesn't work like that. And for the love of God, take the TVs and computers out of the children's bedrooms immediately. Please, I beg you. There are entire books written on this subject and explaining how it's destroying neurology, destroying a generation. Entire books. Yeah, I've listed many of them. Okay, have a good one. Yeah, then this is mold. We need to clean it up. That's an attack then. We gotta, if you have, that's an active infection, we gotta get rid of it. And then we can have a massive change and improvement. Yeah. So somebody says their child has autism, OCD, and mold here. Because once the mold is done, once you clean it out, you guys, you shouldn't be living with mold illness forever. Like you can get rid of it. It just takes doing it. And that could take a year. I'm going to tell you the truth. Okay. But it's not a live, So it's not on my shop, Ben. We'll send you a message. Again, a lot of things I don't keep on my website per se, and we'll send you a link to it because I bundle it in a whole multivitamin, multi-mineral, shilajit, fulvic, humic blend. It's doing many, 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 many things, and bacopa is just one of those. So it's really a potent brain supplement, and it's covering the bases for like little kids all the way to my mother. So it's a nice foundational basic support. And then I may have to add cod liver oil or something like that to someone to help them as they don't get it. Okay, because people like me, I don't love fish. I'm making myself eat it. Salmon roe is real hard for me to swallow down. For those of you who love it, please, 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 please eat it. I think one of the greatest cons into lowering IQ and destroying our children was to tell pregnant women they should avoid fish. Total con. Made all our children dumber. Yep. The studies are very clear. The statistical data after the women who eat the most fish pregnant have the highest IQ children every single time. You want smart babies? Eat a lot of seafood when you're pregnant. The mercury fear is a con, right? Now, needs to be wild. The oceans are polluted. I'm not disagreeing. And farmed fish is horrific. I would not eat farmed fish, if you put a gun to my head. That's how bad that shit is. So that ain't the same thing. I'm talking about wild fish in nature, not the genetic farm fish disgusting thing that they're doing. Okay? Not the same. Okay? Please understand that. Okay. And the worst fish you could ever eat on earth is tilapia. Please avoid it like the plague. Okay, there's my I'm a sign off. If you want what I have, get on my just message me, email the office desk at drrimka.com. Maybe I should have them put them in the link tree and say Bacoba. Maybe they can do it. It's a cumbersome ordering process, unfortunately. I hate the website. The website of this company sucks, but the products are extraordinary. So what can I do? The product is extraordinary. Anyway, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. And I'm sorry about Megan McGlover. We will get it hooked up. See ya. Well, maybe see if there's a question. I'm sorry. Some of you were here. Yeah, Bacoba, this is in a liquid form. Bacoba isn't always liquid. But liquid, I prefer any supplementation you can get. You want liquid. Because of absorption issues. It all comes down to bioavailability. If your capsules, like if you had a bottle of, here's my sea glass. I love the ocean. Like if you, yeah, that sounds hard. If your bottle of vitamins sounds hard like that, it's all, the chances of your stomach breaking that down and absorbing is so little. You're getting very, very little. So sublingual, certain compounds only are available to be absorbed sublingual. And if you can do that, the smaller the liposome, the how tiny, like is it the liposome this big or is it this big? And the word nano keeps coming up. And a lot of people are calling this a nanoparticle, a liposome. It's not. You need to be this tiny to really, but they're just full of shit in their marketing. Okay, you guys? So and it just absorbs. It's like instantly. If you can bypass the stomach and go under in the mouth, it goes right into the bloodstream, and then you can get it gets into the cell easier. First, we got to get it into the blood. Then we got to get it into the cell. Okay? And there's all kinds of reasons that hiccup could happen. When you have to swallow something, it gets harder to get it from there broken up into the blood and then into the cell. So, I do the best I can to find things that I know will become bioavailable, especially in humans that come to me with very damaged digestive tracts, such as autism, such as kids full of candida, the ulcerative colitis, Crohn's. We already know you have massive digestive issues. The endothelial layer is destroyed. We have leaky gut. Things are not absorbing and getting through properly. So I want as much liquid bioavailable as possible. So I prefer liposomal things than liquids, than like powders and things that are in capsules versus like tablets that are hard. Those are much harder to assimilate. Just so the question, All right. Seriously. Please name the coffee and L-theanine brand. So my coffee, I sell coffee. It's Purity Coffee. It's the cleanest, healthiest coffee on earth. They have a very special, they source coffee with the highest antioxidant CGA on earth always. Fair trade, slave free. It's white labeled under many names, but its Purity is a lot of the brands you're seeing is this company out there. And then any L-theanine. You can get L-theanine from my full script or anything. L-theanine is cheap. It's not counterfeited very much. But if you can get a good green tea source, it's going to take some research. That's a way to get it as well. For green tea drinkers who like it, you just have to make sure you're getting a good green tea that isn't contaminated. Very hard, but they do exist. I just hate green tea. It gives me a headache. It gives me really bad headaches, always has. So I don't drink it. Versus coffee is delicious, so I can just take L-theanine capsule. I typically take like pure encapsulations or now cheap. Certain brands do certain things well and other things poorly. And then some brands do everything well, but they're really expensive. So you just have to, decide on that. But you can get all those things in my store as well. Yeah, the link tree, I'll get them. I'll say put Bacoba. I'll say ADHD, Bacoba, nootropic. That way people's brains will know what it is. I'll get the guys to do that after I'm done. Make it easy. The website sucks, though. I gotta tell you, it's like way too many steps and stuff like that. But it's worth it. And then I just have it like a monthly auto ship, and I have it auto ship to my mom, auto ship to here. Now, for some of you, when you buy it, I'll explain it, but you often have to load. So I usually will give a quick phone call to any customer of something like, okay, who's it for? What's the, and in 5 minutes, I can tell you how to dose it right for your situation. Because sometimes it might have you double what you're taking for 7 days. It just depends. But I give a quick phone call to anybody. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I have to. Oh, good. I have an hour. I got to see. I told you I don't see patients on Monday, but I had to squeeze them in because of Thanksgiving. All right. And then when you feel free to message me with also like, are you concerned about the sustained pollution involved with wildlife? No, I'm not. I mean, pollution is a problem, but I'm not concerned about sustainability at all. When you use a proper, especially small things like sardines and stuff like that, I'm not worried about it at all. Especially I get everything typically from Vital Choice. I get things that are very much regulated and highly certified with their practices. I'm not concerned. No, this planet is this whole story, like the con they're trying to tell you, this planet is some weak ass bitch. She is not. Mother Gaia she is not stupid, and she knows how to replenish and heal herself. We need to stop polluting her. It's pollution. That's a big problem. Like, humans got to get on board with this because she's going to revolt, but she's not going to die. She's not going to have a problem. She will wipe out who she needs to wipe out to keep all the fish and everything going, right? It's, we don't think twice about all of the fish and plankton and everything that all of the whales and the dolphins are eating. I mean, we don't think about it. We're not trying to limit them. So I'm not concerned about it. There's enough food on this earth to feed everyone very well. There's enough land on this earth to house everyone well. To be connected to nature and live in harmony, we are not remotely overpopulated, nor do we need to think we are. That's a con. But that's a whole other conversation. All right. I'm going to do all these explain work for autism. So Aries best. So basically, yes. There's different nuances and protocols and changes and figuring those things out, but it's all the same. Some of the things are the same. Humans are the same. The way we work is the same. Now, damage is different. If somebody has ADHD symptoms post-concussion, that's not the same, right, as ADHD. They're born with it. It kind of has this genetic component. Their whole family has the same. I've been privileged to brain map entire families. I see exactly you came from them. You got the same stuff as them. I can see it. Okay. And autism, I can't say the word, but it's injury. It's damage. It's poison. Nobody is born autistic. No one. Okay? That was done to them. So there are different ways to treat things the way it happens to a person. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, these things are similar. OCD, I will tell you, is very hard, and it's one of our harder things to deal with, and we have to address it a number of ways. And once I get foundations, I have to tell everybody. I feel neurofeedback is about 50-50 with OCD. Once I get everything going, it always is going to get rid of ADHD pretty much. It's always going to help autism. OCD, I've got kind of 50-50 shot with that one. It's tricky. It's a harder neurological issue. Sunbed safe to use during the winter months. So I'm going to go with yes in general, depending on who it is and what the question is. Seasonal affective disorder that causes a person to be actively suicidal, I don't give a damn about EMF radiation on that person. Get them in a sunbed. You understand? So if I can stop the highest rate of suicide for seasonal depression, it always is February. There's a reason for that. So people who are all up in the north, and everybody can say all they want. I love it's always rich ass privileged people just go on vacation. You know, not everybody can pick up and go to the fucking Bahamas in February and December and January. They don't all go have a damn extra house in the Cayman Islands. I don't understand why people think this is the situation. So especially people of color living in the north who are barely getting by, they desperately need sunlight. So are there issues with EMF? Yeah. You're getting more EMF poison radiation with your cell phone driving in your steel metal car, however. You're inhaling so much plastic off-gassing in your car, you're killing yourself every time you drive. Getting on a plane, with all those phones, talk about EMF. So I do think some of that's been really hyped up. And I would prefer, again, when I got to triage life and death suicidal issues or what happens with a seasonal affective disorder, that trumps a little bit of EMF. I can teach somebody to ground themselves and mitigate that so they can get the sunlight, the UVA, UVB rays. So I want the highest potency UVA, UVB bed I can find and the shortest amount of time. Most people, that's like a 6 to 10 minute treatment in the right bed. But I want UVA and UVB. And, you know, it's, yeah. So I've been prescribing that for years, actually. I do think some of it is. Not everybody can buy the thing. But the reality is, what the beds cost, I've seen the packages. I go to them at times when I could. I usually travel a lot. In the past few years, I haven't been able to. In my winters, I'm getting really down about it, get depressed, and it doesn't work well for my system to not be at the beach. And it was like $350 for like 10 sessions, like $35 a pop. And I cringe at buying a Sperity lamp, which is a vitamin D lamp, but I'm like, I've spent that money. So sometimes it's just hard for the mind to wrap itself around a $400 purchase. But people can go in once a week and say, well, I could pay $35 a week. I could do a one session. Like I could do that for 6 weeks. And so that's only $150, $160. Okay. And if that's keeping them with a little bit of keeping that vitamin D higher and plus all the photo information that they get is beyond vitamin D, fine. Okay. So again, it's all, if you're just doing it like to just be pretty, like you do, again, a person who's doing Botox for migraine, Botox is a poison. Doing Botox for migraines, intent matters to me, right? It's still a poison, but are we getting a return on investment for what that migraine pain is doing, the torture that happens all the time from that, or like a child with cerebral palsy and what it's doing for their contracture, how it changes the pain and suffering that they're in all the time versus to be pretty? So anyway, there's a lot that goes into, well, you know, your return on investment might be worth every penny or worth some of the risk that's involved. Another person, no, we're not willing to take that risk with you. Okay. Let's see if there's any. Does intranasal red light therapy work? You mean this? I don't know. Does it work? Y'all don't even want to know how many like devices I got sitting around my house. Does it work? I'm going to start doing lots of videos about lots of things. Oh, I don't have you plugged in. Do I have you plugged in? No, I don't see the lights yet. Let's see. I sell all of these devices. Does it work? Pumpkin, I only have about $7,000 worth of these things. So yeah, they work. Are there a lot of bullshit products in the market? Yeah, there are. I've been using these on my patients for many, 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 many years. So I'm modulating my brain therapy right now. I'm driving it into alpha. Do I use these with children and adults with ADHD, anxiety, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia? I sure do. And I can watch it in real time by imaging your brain live as to what it does. I don't need to guess. I know what it's doing. I've seen it. I've turned it on, turned it off, put it on thing. Oh my God, do you see what's happening? Just like I can put your child in front of me, put Minecraft, show you what their brain was doing. So here's for the brain. You see it? See all these waves? And this focus, this is sleep, this is calm, alpha, delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. I said, watch what happens when we put on Minecraft. And the parents watch, they go, I go, do you see that? That is killing your child's brain. You keep thinking this shit is benign. It's not. Stop normalizing dumbass behaviors. So anyway, does it work? Yeah, it does. I'm running 810. This is alpha right now. And there's gamma, blah, blah. I'm seeing new clients. At what time do you hit a red light? Well, it depends. So what time? So my neurofeedback clients wear this while they're doing neurofeedback. So I couple all my therapies. I stack them on top of each other to make everything really efficient. So I don't really care what time of day we do this. Now, this is alpha. You do it whenever time it works well. This works really well in the evening in general, but, is what it is. I'm just going on, talking about all kinds of stuff. I wonder why we're talking. Well, you guys asked me about tanning beds. This is an ADHD talk. It's interesting that the tanning beds. I have 6 V-Lights. I'm about to buy another one. You can use my store and get 10% off, or patients actually get a bigger code discount. If I work with you, and I try to give a little bit more off. How do these work with the CES? I don't understand. I don't know what all the questions are. First, I was just talking about Bakova, but here we are anyway. This is an old V-Light. I have 3 models, plus I have the systemic ones too. So I rent these out. They're part of my program, so people get kits when I'm doing neuromodulation. So we do neurofeedback. We do this as a standalone treatment. I couple it with neurofeedback treatment for ADHD, anxiety, memory, cognition, increasing IQ, whatever I'm dealing with. There's all kinds of reasons and stuff, and why we do things the way we do things. And I use transcranial stim, electrical stimulation. I use devices on the wrists. I use devices on the ears. I'm going to feed and nourish your brain in every way. So I talked about brain support. I talked about nutrients, but light, sound, electricity, magnetism, those are nutrients for your brain as well. And those are different devices, and those are different conversations. But I'm going to go, and I hope you guys have a good one. Shit's hot, right? I don't give this. I have driven in my car looking like this. Don't care. Beta amyloid plaque being destroyed. Thank you.